You've done the risk assessment. The technical file is compiled. The declaration of conformity is signed. The CE mark is on the product. But across 9 documents, produced by different people at different times, are all the standards the same version? Does the DOC reference a standard that doesn't appear in the technical file? Does the CE marking show an NB number that isn't in the declaration? Does the risk assessment identify a hazard that never made it into the instructions for use? CE Step 10 finds these mismatches before a market surveillance authority does. These are not hypothetical failures. They are among the most common findings when market surveillance authorities examine CE documentation. A standard listed in the declaration but absent from the technical file. A hazard identified in the risk assessment that never appeared in the instructions for use. An NB number on the product that the declaration of conformity doesn't mention. A superseded standard still cited in the doc after the technical file was updated. Each one is a compliance gap. Together, they can invalidate a declaration of conformity that took months to produce. CE documentation is rarely produced by one person in one place. The risk assessment comes from the safety engineer. The test reports come from the lab. The technical file is assembled by the compliance team. The declaration of conformity is drafted from a template. The CE marking is handled by the product team. Each document is correct in isolation. The inconsistencies live in the gaps between them, and they are invisible to anyone who only reads one document at a time. CE Step 10 reads them all at once. CE Step 10 is a structured AI-assisted workflow that takes all 9 previous CE Step outputs and performs a systematic cross-document consistency check, extracting every claim, piece of evidence, declaration, and marking obligation, building a consistency matrix across all documents, identifying every mismatch and ranking it by severity, and producing a corrective action list with an audit-ready consistency report. It is the final quality gate before your product goes to market, and the ongoing check every time documentation is updated. The workflow opens with an atom of thought extraction, a structured AI technique that reads every uploaded document and pulls out each discrete claim, evidence item, declaration, and obligation as a separate, traceable unit. These extracted items are then compared against every other document in a consistency matrix. Mismatches are identified, described, and ranked by severity, from low, where a minor labeling inconsistency needs correcting, to critical, where a conflict between the risk assessment and the declaration of conformity puts the entire conformity claim at risk. A self-check confirms coverage. The final report gives the compliance engineer a precise, prioritized corrective action list. Here is what CE Step 10 found after a complete set of CE marking documentation was produced for an industrial pump system under the machinery regulation and PED. 2 critical mismatches. The declaration of conformity referenced a different standard to the technical file, and the NB number on the CE mark differed by 1 digit from the DOC, a transcription error that invalidates both documents. 1 high-severity gap. A residual risk identified in the risk assessment had never been carried into the instructions for use. 1 medium-severity conflict. The test report referenced a drawing revision that had been superseded before the technical file was finalized. And a PMS finding 2 seal failure incidents in the field that had not triggered an update to the risk assessment. None of these were visible from any single document. All of them would have been found by a market surveillance authority. CE Step 10 is not only a pre-launch quality gate. It is the mechanism that keeps your CE documentation consistent as the product evolves in the field. When post-market surveillance, Step 9, detects an incident pattern, that finding must be checked for consistency with the risk assessment. If it reveals a failure mode not previously identified, the risk assessment needs updating, and every document that depends on it needs rechecking. CE Step 10 provides the structured workflow for that recheck. It is what turns a static set of compliance documents into a living, auditable system. Manual cross-document consistency checking that typically takes 3 to 6 hours now takes 20 to 40 minutes, with a severity-ranked mismatch report and a precise corrective action list. CE Step 10 is available to download now at ce-automation.lt, ready to use with any capable large language model. It applies at initial market launch, and every time your documentation is updated, making it the only step in the series you will use repeatedly throughout the product lifecycle. Or download the complete CE Steps 1 to 10 series, the only end-to-end AI-assisted CE marking system on the market. CE Step 10 completes a 10-step system that takes an engineering team from the very first question: does CE marking apply to this product? Through every stage of the CE marking process, to an ongoing living compliance system that stays consistent as the product evolves. 10 steps, every stage. Designed for engineers and compliance professionals at startups and SMEs who need to get CE marking right, without a large regulatory department, without expensive consultants on retainer for every decision, and without leaving anything to chance. The complete CE Steps 1 to 10 series is available now at ce-automation.lt.